So first and foremost, I thought that there'd be no other better way to start off the video by breaking down depression. So what actually is depression? And this is an extremely important question because I feel that most people don't even fully understand what depression actually is. And it's not that you're stupid or anything, but it's simply the same concept as happiness. If you have to ask someone what happiness actually means to them, they'd probably have to think about it. And that is because everybody has different definitions of happiness and depression to themselves. And what makes you happy or depressed may not make someone else as happy or depressed as it does make you happy or depressed. And depression is simply when you are repeatedly, that's the key word. Depression is when you are repeatedly feeling sad, lonely, hopeless, and etc. And of course, there are also different levels to how extreme you can feel depressed itself, right? You could feel a little bit depressed, mildly depressed, and extremely depressed to the point where you are suicidal. And yeah, it's not great, no matter how extreme of a level you are of being depressed. But yeah, I've seen it. Other people being like all sorts of depression, and for me personally, look, you're probably gonna think this is weird, and okay, so before I say this, yeah, I don't know if you're depressed. I don't know if the algorithm is like gonna push out the videos to like depressed people. I mean, I don't know. It will do its own thing, right? But yeah. And yeah, by the way, if you are going through depression, I hope that changes and you get all happy and you stop getting depressed. But anyways, yeah, back to the point. So yeah, a lot of people do use the word depression quite loosely, right? They'll call themselves depressed even though they aren't repeatedly feeling depressed. They say that they are depressed, without even knowing that, whether they are depressed or not. And then them saying that they are depressed makes them have a higher chance of being depressed anyways, because they are supporting the negative part of their mind by saying that. And you are what you say you are. It's just the way you are. It's the same concept as you are what you eat, you are what you consume, and you are who you hang around with, and etc. But anyways, yeah. And so the part which I said this will sound a bit weird is that I'm not depressed. I absolutely know what sadness feels like. Every human does. But in terms of depression, and I'm really lucky for this, because what I realized was in life was that when I saw other people which were depressed, me in my head I was thinking, all right, first of all we got sadness, that's natural. But depression, when you are constantly feeling that way, and me seeing people constantly feeling depressed, I thought that, the only logical thing in my mind was that if you're sad, that how you get from sad, which isn't as common as repeatedly feeling depressed, so how you get from just feeling sad to becoming depressed is if you let your negative part of your mind just you dwell over it, and then that negative part of your mind gets stronger and stronger, leading to depression. So sadness is just like stage one of this kind of thing, right? But then sadness and loneliness, hopelessness can lead to depression if you let it. And so what I did was, the logical thing which I thought I should be doing is just rewiring my brain to the point that if I am ever feeling sad, that's okay. I'm not gonna, to an extent, depending on what it is, because I for me it is, and I feel that this should be for everyone too, or for most people at least, that everybody it's all about controlling your mind. And you know depression is incredibly hard to control, but I'm not trying to make it sound like it's such an easy thing to do, because it absolutely isn't. And it's not like I'm just saying, oh, with self-control, just control your mind, that's it, boom, done. No, that's not what it is. And so when I say you have to control your mind, you have to like almost pre-act, and just like predict your next feelings. Like for example, if you're in some situation where you are feeling sad, if you think how you would be feeling maybe a day or a week after that, if you continued feeling the way which you are right now, would you end up being depressed? So if you can like predict like the most realistic feeling possible to how like you may be feeling in that amount of time frame, or how long it may be ahead of time, would you be depressed from being sad? Would you be depressed? And what is depression to you, first of all? To actually understand if you're depressed or not, ask yourself that. And would a depressed person be doing what? And be doing and feeling and doing everything which you are doing right now? Is that the case? Because that's when you most likely would be depressed. And people can be depressed for many things. Even if you're not going through trauma, it could be because you're listening to sad music, you're around negative people, and you can't really. And another thing about the self-control is that, and being conscious about if you are depressed or not, you also have to not compare yourself in a way, and not compare yourself in any way, shape or form, but still have some thought in your mind at least about other people, how they may be feeling. For example, just knowing in the most cliche kind of way, that there are other people in the world suffering way more than you. Not that I'm saying that your problems aren't bad, but just realize that there are people out there which are suffering way more than you. And it's not a competition, but just realize that's just a fact. And so that may just reduce the amount of depression which you have, at least a little bit, if not stay the same, but it won't really make it any worse, unless you are so sympathetic on how other people are feeling, even though that you don't know this situation or anything like that. But the chances are that won't happen, because you will only care about yourself at the end of the day, and that's not even in a selfish way. You don't know that person, that's just a thought, and it's just a fact. And it's and another thing is that what I would do is ask myself, and it's like the same thing which I just said to you. Would a depressed person be doing and feeling the same things which you are doing right now? So that other thing which I'll be doing is, for example, it may be, am I eating shit? Have I been inconsistent with working out? Have I said I was going to be doing things which I haven't been doing? And there's so many things to that. And depression can also feel so, it can feel perpetual. It can feel as if it will never end. And another thing about depression is that with depression, if you don't depression can often just be that you have a lack of meaning in life. And if you don't have any plans, or I mean, you have to, or if you don't have as many plans or thoughts, or if you're not really as ambitious of a person, and you just don't have, you're not keeping yourself as busy, then you will, fall into depression. Depression will find you if you are living so empty of a life. And so I say that I don't be depressed, and I can't be, because I don't believe I ever can. Similarly to how the example which I said at the start, how people use the term depression loosely when they say that they feel, they say they are depressed, even though they don't even know if they actually are or not, because they just use it loosely, and even though they aren't repeatedly depressed. Is similar to that in this aspect, in terms of me, right? I'm not gonna call myself depressed or say that I am, because that will make me have a higher chance of being depressed. So in order for me to not be depressed, I just don't believe in it. I don't believe that I can be depressed. Sadness at most, because that's natural. Look, depression is natural as well, but often depression is just how you react about things. And so that really is what depression is. And so if I don't believe in depression, and I don't believe that that certain situations can get the best of me, and no matter how bad it is, I just have to push through as hard as I can. Life is extremely hard. I know that. I know what depression is, even though I luckily rewired my brain in a good time. Like before, it's like I rewired my brain, like I just rewired it in the before I knew anything, where life can just go downhill. And once you believe something, it will be easier to keep believing that. So if you believe that you can't be depressed, then it will be easier to keep believing that you won't be depressed, and then you actually won't be depressed. That's literally the hack. And it's the same with, for example, confidence. If you believe that you are confident, eventually you will become confident, and it will be easier to keep becoming more and more confident. And so a lot of people are, I don't know the statistics, but yeah, that's truly how I do deal with depression. So let me just re-say all of this in a shorter way, so it doesn't sound too clustered. So first of all, the way I deal with depression is that I don't believe that I ever could get depressed, because I don't want to let any emotions have power over me. And so then I also have to have self-control, and have not only me not believing in depression, but always being not so much optimistic, but also realistic at the same time. Because if you're always optimistic and you're just thinking every single thing in the world is going to be positive, then that's just that's not the way life is. Because you need to be optimistic and realistic. And so first of all, yes, I say that again. I don't believe I could ever get depressed, and it really it really did. It works. It works. And I tend to think about things all the time, which I know I should be thinking about. And you know how I said that, if you don't have things going for you in life necessarily, or you don't give yourself enough things to do during the day, and then you have so much free time during your day, depression will just find you. You'll just fall into depression. I do the opposite of that, because what I do is the first thing I try to do in my mind is analyze what in the world could possibly make me depressed from this standpoint right now. Whatever I'm doing in my life, or whatever situation is around me, what could possibly make me, what are some possible things which could make me depressed if I had to do things or feel some ways from the way I am feeling right now, and at all times neutral. And then I just don't do that. So yeah, you have to sort of I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I'm trying to just pre-feel and like pre-react the way you would be feeling, and the way you pre-acting to like thinking on what possible things you could be doing, and things which you may end up doing or feeling in the future, even if that like anything but in this present moment, something which you could possibly be doing or feeling ahead of time, which isn't in this present moment right now, or it could be if you are constantly dwelling over the negativity, which could make you depressed. I don't do that. So let's do that again without being so repetitive. I believe that I don't become depressed ever, and having self-control as much as I possibly can, and not letting things get to me, and then predicting the feelings which I could possibly have, and predicting things which I could be doing, even though life is so unpredictable and you don't know what could happen, but at least I can, and anybody could be predicting the way that they feel and the things which they are doing, because they know themselves more than anybody else knows them. So I do that as well, and just think of the most logical things I could possibly doing, that I could possibly be doing. So yeah, and so then I just avoid doing that. I don't do any of those things which I have just analyzed, which could possibly make me feel depressed by me feeling things or doing certain things. So I don't do any of those things. And thirdly, I give myself things to do. I give myself things to do every single. I don't know the average person's thoughts on that people have on average. And this isn't necessarily about just thoughts, right? Because you can have negative thoughts too. But when I say I have thoughts, I mean that I have thoughts in a way that it makes me do things. Like the kind of thoughts which I have are thoughts which are necessary, and they don't really have anything to do with negativity. First of all, which is a good sign, because they're just about, my thoughts are just about thoughts which are basically about things which I need to do. And if like I said before, if you don't have many things to do in your life, and you're not really doing much, then depression will find you. If you're lonely and you accept that and you just let that happen to you and you let everything get to you, then you will become depressed. But if you have like if you do so many things, and you actually maybe have a not even a routine, but you do something which you are passionate about, you will have less time to be depressed, because the more things which you know you should be doing and you actually do that, then you are essentially making yourself even more busy, and less time, you're giving yourself less time to even be depressed in the first place. And depression is a temporary thing. It's something which can just bombard you within the space of time which you have, within every single 24 hours in a day which you have. And so if you knock that out, so if you're feeling depressed, here's the 24 hours time which you have in your day. And so that depression is like so small, but then it can become bigger and bigger and bigger, and then affect your 24-hour day. And then from that, it can lead to affecting not just your 1 24-hour day, but it can also affect that whole week, that a month, a year, and etc., your decade, your whole life. And so I don't allow myself for that to happen. And so if you can just just try to get out the depression as soon as possible before it starts to get bigger and bigger and harder to control, because it gets so out of hand and it's just so powerful at that point. The sooner that you try to get that out of the way, boom, then you won't have time out of that 24 hours and then to even feel depressed. And then so that can just be the way you are as a person. And so when I say that, I mean that if you aren't really the type of individual who is depressed, then that will be basically the way you are, right? Because you've kind of rewired your brain, even if you didn't mean to, and you've just never been a depressed person, you'll just never be that depressed. You've kind of whereas if it is the opposite of that, you'd be very sensitive, not in a rude way or anything, but more bound, you'd have higher chances of being depressed. And so step one, and also just bearing in mind, if you made it this far into the video, just know that this is what I do. And just like a YouTube video which you could see online, for example, if it is about procrastination, if there's multiple videos on YouTube that are titled, "This is the last video you'd watch and you'd never scroll again after watching it. You'd never eat junk food after watching this video." And how unrealistic is that? I'm not going to title that video like this. I'm not going to title this video saying that you'd never feel depressed after watching this video. If this video helps you, then great. At the end, then that's good on you at the end of the day. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm Superman and everything which I'm going to say is going to change your life. It may do, but if that at the best possible situation, but I'm not God. I can't make you get out of bed. I can't make you be happy. I can't make you do anything. You can do only the things which you want to do. So this is just my best suggestions, my best things which I do, and how I have beaten depression, and just beaten it so I don't get depressed. And so yeah, if this video was kind of clustered and all over the place, then apologies. I just tried to make this as straight up as I possibly could, and yeah, again, apologies if I was repetitive. I tried not to be repetitive in this video, but yeah, and annoying, but yeah. So you just have to think about your ancestors. They probably had so many things to worry about, they didn't even have time to be depressed. And this is all of like I said before, I'm not God. I can't make, if this helps, it helps. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Hopefully you've learned something from this video, and my whole intention is to just say things which are just me being raw, just honest, realistic, and and as authentic as I possibly can. And that's just what I'm trying to do at the end of the day. And so yeah, God, what I. So yeah, life is hard, and there is absolutely a meaning to life, and I don't want to this video is getting quite far-fetched out, quite long-winded, but yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time, and I really appreciate it if you did watch up to this video, and hopefully it did help you. And yeah, hopefully you don't become depressed as much as you are, if you are right now. And yeah, it's all a mental game. That's what it is, and that's exactly what it is. And this video, and I'm just gonna say it again, this wasn't me trying to act as if I'm Superman, and it's so easy to do, but the more you don't try to do things which make you depressed and feel depressed, then the easier it will be to not do that, and so the easier it does become to not be depressed, and then you do feel like Superman. It's a game changer, and I feel that. And I don't know if you really understood this video. Hopefully, you understood it as much as I wanted to explain this video. Hopefully, you understood it as much as I and hopefully my thoughts on every single thing which I said in my mind, how well I understood it, just got extracted into your minds, and then you understood it the same, because otherwise it would just be a waste of your time, right? So hopefully you just understood this as much as you and it helped. So if it did, so yeah, then I'm grateful for that, and thankful if you've watched the video up until this far. And I'm trying not to repeat myself a lot of times. So yeah, thank you for watching.